This might actually be a long one.
And if the Bible dares to be wrong, even in something as trivial as the exact wording of a criminal charge, then the doctrine of inerrancy tells us that the Bible immediately becomes less valuable.
Again, this is twisting.
This is beyond twisting.
Like you.
Ooh, I don't know if that got picked up.
No, it's like that is literally taking the tiniest little example and try to expand it to fit the whole narrative. Only problem is that if the charge was saying he was king of the Jews, then it wasn't wrong.
No.
I mean, all of them had king of the Jews. So in the same way you say it was wrong, I can say it was right. It's like, well, because this one didn't have Jesus on it. That one had king of the Jews, and this one had king of the Jews. So
Two of them had Jesus in it.
Yep, I can literally claim your argument and like flip it against you and use the same one. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, well, this one doesn't say Jesus, so it has to be wrong. But these ones say king of the Jews, so they have to be right. Therefore, all of them are right.
Yeah, and two of them say Jesus.
Yeah.
King of the Jews. Two of them just say King of the Jews.
Yeah.
So two are matching each other. The other two match each other. Guess
Right.
what? That means that they're all four right.
Yep.
There are some who even say that if the Bible contains just one mistake, then the entire witness of Scripture is nullified.
Okay, so just briefly addressing this. Okay, so there are some that say that's not evidence.
Nope.
That's not evidence. That's not facts. There are some that say, there are the Alex Jones of the world who say that dinosaurs live in the hollow tunnels of Earth. That doesn't make it fact, right?
No.
It's ridiculous. Like that doesn't mean anything. There are some that say, okay, like
It's creating your own boogeyman, essentially.
yeah,
You're creating your own mythos around using other people's words. That's the other part. They're using other humans stating things and taking them as correct, but yet God can be incorrect.
right. Or the Bible is just not what it says it is, But I don't agree with that either.
In other words, the doctrine of inerrancy makes the Bible play by the same rules as a spreadsheet. Human beings create spreadsheets with the priority that they need to be right. In digital form, a spreadsheet exists to be able to communicate large sets of data in a comprehensible form and to allow that data to fluctuate based on the changing landscape of reality. While it may be exciting to watch several numbers go up and down by manipulating a single cell, that excitement quickly dwindles if the equations are incorrect or the data is falsified. In printed form, the moment a single mistake is discovered on a spreadsheet is the moment that humans announce that this spreadsheet needs to be updated, reprinted, and then discard the current spreadsheet into the trash.
But the Bible is not a spreadsheet.
And it's not created by man.
No.
Like the one thing that you need to know is like, I mean, in the last pause we were kind of nitpicking him for what other people say. Like what we were saying doesn't take away from the actual fact that the Bible in itself is not wrong. It is historical text, and I do believe it is inerrant, because he's looking at this from like the complete wrong point of view. So, but yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, this is weird. Like, it's not a spreadsheet. It wasn't written by man. It was written by God. Like, the best way to look at it for the proper point of view is that God is the writer, humanity is the pen.
Mm-hmm.
That is all we are. We are not the authors. We are not the ones with the ideas. We are the ones who had the experience that God compelled. Well, they are. We didn't do it, but God compelled them to write down those experiences. And then those got codified to what we know into the modern Bible because they have reliability to them. So, like, he's coming at this from the point of view, it's like, well, man wrote it. It's like, well, like, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about author, no, man did not write it. God wrote it. But if you're talking about literally physically picking up a pen and writing it, yes. But that's just because we were the instrument that God chose to write it down.
Yep.
If he had told a rock to do it, the rock would have done it.
Yep. Blame.
A spreadsheet is valuable only if a spreadsheet is right.
The
But
Bible
is
is
that
right.
what the Bible
not a
is meant to
spreadsheet.
be? A kind of sanctified spreadsheet? Because if the Bible plays by the same rules as a spreadsheet, then just one contradiction, like 4 gospel authors recording different words for the criminal charge against Jesus, would ask us to update the 3 incorrect gospels, reprint the Bible, and then discard this current Bible into the trash.
No. Again, it's important to have understanding of how humans write down things that they perceive. Because if you and I were to see the exact same event, we see the lightning bolt crashing down, hitting the tree, destroying the tree, and then one branch of the tree falls in the neighbor's yard and destroys something important. My account of what happened will be a little bit different than yours.
But overall, we're pushing the same message.
Exactly, because I may focus on a different thing that you noticed.
Right.
Where you noticed how the branch splintered in a certain way and rotated and hit the power the power line,
Right.
and then crashed. I just saw how lightning literally formed down, hit the tree, and then suddenly descended over there.
Right. It's like, we're all going to focus on different details that we
Exactly.
feel are important.
But overall, what happened? Lightning hit it, something got damaged over there.
Yeah.
Does that make either one of our accounts incorrect?
And he's making
a mountain out of a molehill.
He's just making giant leaps that like there's no base for.
No.
He's like, like it's if a spreadsheet is wrong, then it needs to be updated and the old one discarded. Now the Bible's a spreadsheet. So if it's wrong, should it be updated and then the old one's discarded? It's like, okay, but how did you get there? How did you get, like, what logic train did you jump on that brought you to that?
Again,
And
if
you're not describing it. You're just, you're just running with your own point of view.
And again, if you're only focusing on the fact that 4 gospels say 5 to 7 words slightly different, and judging the entire Bible because of that,
Mm-hmm.
then my friend, you have other problems.
Yeah. That overall, they say the same thing.
Yeah.
You're nitpicking how one says it slightly differently than the other, even though it's the same idea.
Exactly. Oh.
You said they muted it.
Discard this current Bible into the trash. But this expectation of a sanctified spreadsheet is a recent idea in the Bible's history. This idea that the Bible should be perfect did not show up until the late 19th century. And while the content of the Bible did not change, the
point, because I see this happening a lot. Because it came recently, does that make the validity of the statement incorrect?
No.
Done.
expectation of the Bible shifted dramatically in that moment. Biblical contradictions, like the contradicting reports of Rome's charge against Jesus, break Christians from the novelty of the idea of biblical inerrancy. The contradictions then lead us deeper into the tradition toward the original intent of the Bible. Because when councils started to compile various writings together in Scripture, they knew about the contradictions that existed between the writings, and they bound them together anyways. Which raises the question, if the Bible is not perfect, then why is the Bible valuable? To answer that question, Reflect for a moment on the fact that the Bible contains 4 different gospel accounts of the crucifixion of Jesus.
Incorrect. It does not have 4 different accounts on the crucifixion of Jesus, according to what you've said. It has 4 different accounts as to what is on top of the headboard
Right.
where they crucified him.
Yes.
They all agree that he was nailed to the tree. They're nailed to the Roman cross. He was nailed to the Roman cross.
Mm-hmm.
They both, all 4 agree that he was pierced on the side.
Right.
They all 4 agree that he breathed his last, that he chose to give up his spirit.
Yep.
And
I think
hey,
they all agreed that he said it is finished too.
it is finished. And guess what? All 4 of them agree that he resurrected.
Yep.
That's all you need.
Yep.
This is building something out of nothing. You have nothing to base your statements on, but you want to make the video anyway to sound edgy, to sound like you are part of this world. And if you are a friend of this world, then you make an enemy of God.
Yep.
Be
If
careful.
If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Nope.
Each of these gospel accounts was written by a unique person experiencing the crucifixion in unique ways. John was a disciple of Jesus and witnessed the crucifixion firsthand. Matthew and Mark were also disciples of Jesus, but they fled the scene in fear and only heard about the crucifixion secondhand. Luke most likely never met Jesus, but assembled the story of the cross by interviewing people who saw it for themselves. Each gospel author did their best to bring the tragic story of this execution to life. None of the gospel writers ever planned for their account of the death of Jesus to be read with the other 3 gospels that are in our Bibles today.
Hold on.
I just have to stop it real quick, because I'm feeling a headache coming on.
Yep.
Wait.
Only after the deaths of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John did Christians begin to read the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John together.
Okay.
This decision to combine these writings
I'm
produced
sorry.
something entirely.
Wasn't this like the Bible didn't begin to be mass produced after they were dead?
Yeah.
So it
And-
wasn't because they were trying to hide something. It's because they couldn't read them. There was one copy. And it had to be copied and then mass produced, which was very hard to do up until mid 20th century. Maybe a little bit before then.
No, we actually do have a lot of historical accounts. The Bible actually has more evidence than.
No, of course. I'm saying that too. But his whole thing is this is obviously a contradiction that we can see because people started reading it after they were dead. Well, it's because they started mass producing it after they were dead.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
We found Dead Sea Scrolls, I think a large portion of the book of Mark was actually found in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Do you really think that people were paying that much attention to what was written on top of the of the cross?
Mm-hmm.
Or they were more focused on the fact that Christ, that all 4 accounts bring up the fact that he was crucified, period.
Basically say the same story and you're just nitpicking something that's not a contradiction.
Yeah.
Now, it's just, on top of that, not very many people could read back then. It was a special habit. Joseph, as far as I know, out of the 12 brothers, Joseph was the only one who was taught how to read and write and stuff.
I think so.
It was a hard skill to learn. That's why Paul, the way that he was brought up, one of the most educated apostles of all time, because of the way he was brought up.
And that's the other part. Even Romans, even everything with Paul, he points to the crucifixion of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
This nitpicking over what was on top of Jesus as he was being crucified is the straw man.
Yeah. And I really want to see, because it seems like he's only focusing on 4 verses that don't even contradict each other.
No, they
So
don't.
it's like, and so I want to see if he lists other contradictions.
That's what I was waiting for.
It's like, I mean, we're halfway through the video and we're still waiting.
Different than the way that human beings create spreadsheets today. Rather than calculating, analyzing, and then refining every corner of the Gospels to unify the story of Jesus, the Gospels are allowed to exist in their own imperfect and raw individuality. To illustrate the implications of this individuality, we have invited 4 artists and 1 model to create something together. All 4 artists have received only 1 instruction. They are to draw or paint what they see. Now, in an isolated thought experiment, one could assume that every artist will produce the same portrait.
This is the second video that I see them doing this. With the creation one, they did something very similar, where it's like one shows the creation account according to Genesis 1. The other one shows the creation account according to Genesis 2, because they contradict each other, by the way, if you didn't know. When they show all 4 of the drawings, I looked over at Danielle and I went, I want you to pick out the 2 that were about Genesis 2 and the 2 that were about Genesis 1. She's like, I can't. They're all the exact same thing.
Right.
So I'm just waiting for this to be literally the exact same thing 4 times.
We'll see.
After all, each artist is seeing and then painting the same model at the same time with the same lighting. But common sense and experience override that assumption. Every artist is drawing the same person from a different vantage point. Some artists are sitting while others are standing. Not only that, but each artist is using a different medium. One artist is using ink, while another is using paint, while another is using ink and paint, and the other artist is using pastels. These individual mediums represent the individual circumstances for each of the gospel authors. Luke didn't know Jesus, so that shaped the way he told the story. John stayed while Matthew and Mark left, which shaped the way that each of them told their stories. In the same way that these gospels are shaped by individual experiences, paint will produce a different portrait than pastel. Lastly, every artist here is a human artist. None of them are robots. They bring to their canvas their own stories, histories, perspectives, and creativity that is irrevocably tied to the art that they create. None of our artists can separate their artwork from themselves. So while each artist is drawing the same person, we know that each art piece will be different, because the experience of each artist is filtered through their own singular humanity. No one will be disappointed.
It's 4 different artists. They don't draw the same.
No.
Gosh, this is the way that he proves or shows that what he's saying is correct about the Gospels.
Right.
When we look at these original expressions and realize that they are different. Instead, because we have the expectation that the artists behind me are creating art and not spreadsheets, we will celebrate their diversity rather than being threatened by their contradictions.
Did you pick up on that?
Hmm.
Did you pick up on what he said?
No.
He said, one of the key buzzwords, you will celebrate their diversity. I'll explain when the video's over why I'm like, oh, right, I forgot. Press play.
Right.
This is the Bible.
Get ready for it. It's literally the exact same thing, just different angles.
This is the Bible.
What?
And the
Hold on.
Bible, just like this art, is not valuable because it is right. The Bible, just like this art, is valuable because it is human, inspired by the transcendent collision of the eternal with the ephemeral.
The Bible is not valuable because it's the inspired word of God. The Bible is valuable because it is made by human hands. Who's the God? Who's their God?
Yeah, that sounds a lot like self-worship. Like, you can't get around that. It just sounds like self-worship. It's like, well, it's valuable because it's made by humans. Okay, so you're saying what humans build.
It's the only thing that's valuable.
When humans build idols, when humans build towers that are supposed to reach heaven, when humans build abortion clinics, when humans build, sex trafficking houses and prostitution corners, that because humans built it, it's more valuable.
Mhm.
When it's been proven time and time again that humans long to build things that, while some things can be great, humans usually long to build things that inevitably lead to destruction.